Depin is an exploding search term over on Google right now. And this is enormous as a crypto investor because it means that the Depin narrative is likely to see the biggest growth during this bull market. Not only that, but there's an event that's taking place in just 11 days that is going to change the world of crypto forever. AI and Depin narratives are likely to absolutely go crazy around this time. And in this video, I'm going to break down exactly why that is, but also talk about a handful of carefully selected new Depin projects that I think you need to know about. Not only that, but there's going to be a part 2 of this video where I'm going to talk about new, exciting AI projects that are likely going to be exploding around that 18th of March deadline. So do me a favor, hit the like button and subscribe if you want that part 2, and let's get on with it. Now guys, if you're new to the channel and you're looking for me to just tell you a few crappy altcoins and, you know, Bob's your uncle, you can go and buy them, well, you're probably in the wrong place. What I'm going to do is I'm going to paint you a picture so detailed that by the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly why these Depin projects I'm going to talk about are something you need to keep on your radar. Now, here we are. AI as a search term over the last 5 years. AI, look at it. It's suddenly picked up around 2022. And then, you know, it kind of like grew and grew and grew. And then we got loads of other things going on. Very exciting. But with the growth of AI, we saw a few problems come about. And maybe you've seen this image before, but it's really, really important. ChatGPT sprints to 100 million users. Now, you probably use ChatGPT to do your maths homework or whatever it is you use it for, but you can see that within 2 months it got to 100 million users. ChatGPT is a large language model. It takes lots of information and basically it processes that information to give answers back. This is an extremely demanding system that requires a huge amount of power in terms of storage and compute power. You see how I'm leading you down that Depin path already? Stick with me. Now you can see as we look across the other side of this particular diagram, projected hardware spend in AI by 2030 at $1.7 trillion. That's like bigger than the GDP of the majority of countries around the world. So if AI is exploding, why have I talked about Depin? Well, Depin is the support network that AI demands. And because AI is such a demanding thing right now, we get huge demands for storage, which you can see here, where supply grew over 5x in a year, but the demand actually grew over 10x in the year. And also for compute power, where you can see the requirements for the apps are going up by about 10x every 18 months. Now, I understand that we've just been in meme coin mode and it's much easier to understand than this, but if you can bear with me, this is the secret sauce to potentially making yourself some of the biggest gains of all your crypto friendship group that you could possibly ever imagine. So now we know that AI is booming, AI is growing, right? AI demands storage, it demands compute power, and therefore it kind of had to be supported by something which is Depin, which stands for Decentralized Physical Infrastructure Networks. Now Depin actually covers 6 different sectors, ranging across a variety of different things. Basically IoT networks, Internet of Things networks. So for example, let's talk about Hivemapper. Hivemapper, basically you put a little camera in your car, it goes around and it maps the streets of wherever you're driving, rather than Google paying tons and tons of money to have a few different cars with these expensive cameras to go and drive around the entire world and make these maps. That means that you as an individual are empowering the network, a decentralized network, to make something happen. Now that's in that particular industry. There's a variety of different industries, but the most profitable are associated with AI because AI is the industry that everyone's talking about. Therefore, we've seen Depin as a search term going absolutely nuts. And right now, the growth trajectory of this search term is absolutely ludicrous because I was making videos about this back in November, December, and until like the last month or so when Coin Bureau made a video, no one else was really talking about Depin. And that's because it wasn't really very sexy last month, but now it's sexy. Look at this chart. And what is about to happen in 11 days that's about to make things a whole lot sexier is this. It is the, guess what? Nvidia #1 AI conference for developers. And it's happening on the 18th to the 21st of March. And okay, what's the big deal? What's Nvidia? Well, this is the top 10 US companies by market cap, and Nvidia, which you may not have even heard of before, is actually on this list. I think right now it sits in 5th, maybe 6th, but it's climbing all the time and could well be in the top 3, I believe, within the next couple of years. Well, what does Nvidia do? Well, they make GPUs, CPUs, which are basically behind a lot of the AI, and especially the AI compute services that drive the development of AI, large language models, and AI agents like Delisium, like Autonolas, etc., which I'll talk about on a video tomorrow. Well, guess what happens? At this event, you have a bunch of big names within Depin AI from crypto backgrounds who are being invited to come and speak on stage. Something that has happened in the past, but hasn't really happened when there's this much mass adoption going on in crypto right now. Think about all those people who are suddenly arriving in ETFs, people who weren't in crypto before and now in the space, and there's going to be a lot of investors and a lot of talk coming out of this conference, a lot of key partnerships as well with Nvidia and other people going in. Now, why am I so bullish about Depin particularly? Well, AI, as I think you can see, is here to stay. It's going to be replacing a lot of different types of tasks. And as it becomes more and more advanced, the demands are going to be even bigger all the time. And looking into this little model here, you can see that we're kind of at the managed contracts and maybe getting down towards management of timesheets and management of budgets, etc. But once we get down to the kind of nitty-gritty of development of AI agents, AI is actually overseeing and managing projects, managing and handling customer complaints, and dealing with lots of different tasks that are ultimately very labor intensive at the moment. And that is the move. That's where we're heading towards right now, and it's where mass adoption in crypto is going to happen. Because there's not enough supply already for the compute, there's not enough supply in storage, and there's not enough supply that can happen in a Web 2 environment, which means we have to move towards a Web 3 environment, and we have to use the Depin projects that can support these AI projects. Hopefully that's clear. And there's models that are projecting that 1% of the US's GDP will be spent on AI by the year 2030. You can also see that global autonomous AI has a continual annual growth rate of 43%. It's ballooning out of control. And here's how it's ballooning out of control. I made a video about AIOZ back last month, and we can see that AIOZ is absolutely exploding towards the upside. AIOZ is a decentralized AI computing ecosystem. But you're right, we're looking at brand new small micro cap coins, so I'll save AIOZ for another day. Other Depin projects that have been going bananas are Cash. And don't worry guys, we are going to find projects that are still sat down here somewhere. So don't you panic, but just let's understand a little bit more about the narrative, okay? I'm trying to explain so you can become an expert in this very simply, which is going to give you the courage to hopefully hold these cryptos and believe in yourself as an investor in them. Here's another one, Nosana, got absolutely bonkers over the last few months or so. Arweave, decentralized storage. Guys, you can see this is what's happening. This is Depin right now. And you may have missed it because you've been too busy looking at Pepe and Bonk and Cock and whatever else. Okay, happens to the best of us. But Depin, this is it, right? So, I'm not going to tell you to go buy all these guys because they have got monster market caps, okay? But some of them are very well worth looking into, and I will look in some of them more in depth on a live stream, which I might do next week. Now, there's also a bunch of really big and interesting new projects coming in the space, such as IO.net, which is yet to launch. So that means you can't buy it anywhere just yet. And then a new one as well called Peak Network, which is also launching soon. But I want to point out something. The reason I'm showing you all these guys, they've got huge deals. They haven't even got crypto coins out. Look, Bosch, Airbus, Continental. Some of these deals are enormous because everyone is starting to realize the power that these projects have. But I know, you're like me, you're impatient. You're like, I want to buy something right now. Got my money. Where am I going to go? So, if you like Peak Network, which is basically a layer 1, because at the moment, a lot of Depin projects are choosing to build on Solana because it's really fast and really cheap, but not necessarily specialized for Depin. Peak offers both those things that Solana offers, but also on top of that, adds interconnectability for different chains for Depin and specializing for Depin stuff. It's a good chain for Depin, to simplify it, but it's not launched yet. So what have we got that has launched and does have a token and can qualify us for a Peak airdrop? I hear you cry. Well, Crest.peak.network. This is the Canary project for Peak. And you're like, what's the Canary project? Well, back in the day, the coal miners and other miners used to take canaries down in the mines with them, which is this little yellow bird, because if there was gas leaks or whatever, the canary would die and it would tell you that you need to get out of that hole pretty damn fast. Now, if you think that's cruel, you're probably right. But I think Crest Network is a little bit more humane, which makes it something viable that we could potentially invest in. Not only that, the airdrop, guys, the airdrop. Now, Crest basically is like the platform that Peak is using to kind of practice on. That's a good idea. Yeah, so basically they're using this network to be able to run transactions, to be able to do all of the different things, run the different nodes and other bits and pieces. Yeah? Okay, so If we can go and learn about Peak, which you can click on the Peak network and come through. You can see they've got so many things going on. The world's fastest growing Depin ecosystem. It's a pretty big selling point. Are incredibly well funded. They're doing things with car sharing, all sorts of other bits and pieces where you can build these real world applications onto Peak network. And Crest represents an early opportunity to be able to get into that ecosystem at a very good price point. Not only that, if you're holding Crest tokens, then you will qualify for a Peak airdrop. So basically, if you hold these tokens, chuck them into like a MetaMask or something like that, rather than holding them on a centralized exchange, and that would be potentially good. It's also good to know that Crest is currently sat around $35 million, which is not huge. And I think as we move towards that Nvidia conference, Peak will definitely be there. And as more attention gets drawn towards Peak, it's going to have a positive impact on Crest, because lots of people will want to qualify for the airdrop. Also, I would imagine that the more marketing stuff comes out as we move towards that launch for Peak, then lots of people are going to be buying Crest, anticipating the opportunity to qualify for an airdrop. As we look at the price chart, it's only really doubled in value since back in November, which isn't bad compared to a lot of other cryptos out there. Now, there's another project which hasn't really kind of caught my eye that much, I'll be honest, because, I mean, there's a lot of things out there in crypto, and I, like you, can be easily overwhelmed by all of the information and things that are out there. But don't worry, I see that this sector, the growth sector that it is right now, anything under 100 mil market cap for me still remains a small project. Claw AI, market cap, $67 million. Now, we can see over the last year or so, Claw kind of did wake up back in October time, and then it did have a good quality kind of pullback. And yes, I missed it both times, I apologize. But now it's done a very classic pattern of a cup and handle, which you can even see from this chart on CoinMarketCap. You can see the little cup and then the little handle. Right now, actually, at 0.27, looks juicy. Not financial advice, of course, I wouldn't dream of it. Okay, so what is it? Well, here, access GPU computing nodes from community members all around the world. Now you can see, again, we come down through the use cases, AI training. This is the important one, okay? There is other bits and pieces that kind of, maybe we kind of want to care about. But if we're looking at the overall narrative that's driving this growth right now, it's the AI growth, okay? And here, again, Nvidia. This is a really important link in, okay? And while these chips, like these H100 chips, are like 30 grand each, these projects still are remaining cheap in terms of market cap, because while they have access to lots of these Nvidia chips and things like that, they don't actually own them. They exist in data centers around the world. So for example, IO.net, and lots of them run in similar ways to this, has like various clusters of GPUs around the world. And whenever it requires the data from these GPUs, it feeds the data in from multiple data centers. And that's how it works. So they don't actually have to own the GPUs in order to be able to utilize the power through decentralized nodes, etc. Pretty cool, right? So as we look into Claw, what could a reasonable price prediction be? Well, I don't really like to do price predictions, but I know you want price predictions, okay? Given the state of the industry right now, given the kind of boom that we're seeing, I don't think it's beyond possibility that projects like this have the potential to be launching, to be rising up to around $1 billion, which would be like 14, 15x, I think, something like that. Maybe my math's off. You could check it out if you want. And that's based off the fact that the likes of IO.net will be launching probably with $1 billion plus market cap. I mean, at the moment, Render's got a $3.6 billion market cap, and it doesn't even have the capability that Claw does. So if it can do that, you're looking more towards a 45, potentially 50x, guys. A lot of that may have kind of been a little bit over your head, and that's fine. What I want to tell you is this. When it comes to crypto, there's kind of like a little bit of a secret sauce about what drives a good, healthy narrative. In the last bull market, we saw good growth from layer ones, because obviously you need layer ones. But now there's endless amounts of layer ones. People don't get that excited about them anymore. You then need a topic of discussion that kind of the average person can understand. So, for example, GameFi really kicks off, and people like it because they can see the pretty colors and they can look at the games and they can be like, oh, well, yeah, I can understand why that game might work, because it has developers from previous success stories. And I'll bring you a little project about that in just a minute. But having a narrative that's easier to explain, because ultimately we've got a massive demand model and a supply down here. Hopefully it makes it easier to understand. However, with most crypto narratives and stuff out there right now, the demand really isn't there, but the only area that this supply and demand model is completely skewed is in Depin. And that's why I think Depin is going to onboard more users into crypto than anything else, because it has to in order to see this growth and development going forward. So yeah, that's the simple argument of it. And as we look into this chart from El Crypto Prof, you can go and follow on Twitter, who has pretty much nailed every call he's made since the bottom of the last bear market. And you can see this is the Ethereum Bitcoin chart, basically talked about in the last 2 bull markets ago. Basically had this accumulation zone. Basically you had like a kind of a breakdown, and then the Ethereum versus Bitcoin price exploded. You then saw a cool off, accumulation zone, the last bull market as we saw it, but he's kind of viewing this as being the second leg of that initial the bull market we saw back in 2021, and we are just about to break out of the reaccumulation zone. If Ethereum breaks from here, the altcoins go crazy. It could be a secret source for an absolutely explosive bull run if you're in the right narrative. Now guys, as I promised, a game with great developers. Now I'm pleased to say that today's video is in partnership with My Lovely Planet. Why have I partnered with them? Well guys, because their development team originally came from Candy Crush and another game, Clash Royale, which between them have revenues in the billions of dollars per year. And what's exciting is My Lovely Planet right now is a few days away from launching. You can see they've already raised a bit of money here, and they currently have a valuation which is 10% discount on the actual launch price. And if you use my link down below, you'll also get bonus tokens, which means you'll get around a 20% discount, and potentially on launch day, you'll be up 20% straight from the go. Now, My Lovely Planet is also backed by Ubisoft and Unity, some of the biggest gaming companies in the world. And My Lovely Planet is a mobile phone game which already has over 30,000 members. You can go and download this yourself and play the game. They've got huge backings from various different companies, particularly because they're trying to work on improving the environment. Money they make from building this game will go to support various different charities. Every tree that you plant in the game, they'll go and plant a tree in real life. They're also helping to support to protect biodiversity and also work to pull plastic out of the oceans, which you can see more information on here. And this is basically the game. Now, in my opinion, you've got all the secret sauce here for a very exciting game launch, an already working product with people downloading it all the time, strong investors, a strong team with a good background in certain gaming companies, the environmental narrative, and a very small initial market cap. Go through the link down below in the description, guys. You can find out more about this project, and if you so wish, you can go through the steps. Just click on buy now, and you can purchase either using crypto, MasterCard, Visa, whatever you so wish. But make sure you don't wait around, guys, because you are running out of time a little bit, and you don't want to miss out on this one. Guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, hit the like button. If you're new to the channel, then make sure you subscribe, and I will see you in the very next video. Bye-bye.